Get the Intel, the podcast meant for those of us trying to find out what the hell is going on in the field. Here we discuss tools, techniques, and approaches that you can implement to streamline operations and let you focus on your craft.
Hello, Chad Gill here. I am the host of the Get the Intel podcast. The podcast is sponsored by Laminin Coach. Laminin is a business coaching company with a focus on contractors in and around construction. We not only help with proposing solutions and methods, but we implement them in your business as well. After all, good ideas are not useful until they're implemented. So if you're ready to elevate your business, visit us at laminincoach.com and see our full range of services. So joining me today is Chelsea Ellis-Hogan. She is the CEO and president, third generation owner of Jim Reynolds Asphalt Contractor. She's been that for 10 years and 10 months. I guess who's counting on that one? They're experts in residential and commercial asphalt maintenance. They specialize in seal coating and repairing asphalt surfaces. Chelsea is also a #1 Amazon best-selling author of Fail to Success and a public speaker. So Chelsea, lots to unpack there. Very excited to talk to you. Thank you for agreeing to kind of meet with us here.
Definitely, and thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here as well.
So obviously, huge crowd of women taking over the asphalt industry, and you're just one of many, many, I guess, right?
Well, I would say definitely the opposite. Definitely, one of few. But I always say that I've always been a person who likes to challenge those, so it makes for a fun career.
I got to think that when people meet you and stuff like that, they're like, so it inevitably does. So what do? You're like, I run an asphalt company. And you're like, okay, I did not have that on my bingo card. That's amazing.
Yeah,
how did that become third generation? I think that makes it 3 times harder. How did that go?
That is the truth. So just a little bit backstory about myself and how I got into the industry. My great uncle actually is who the company is named after, Jim Reynolds. So he started the business just going door to door. He started residential, just saying, hey, this is a good industry that I see. It's something I can do, and I want to figure out how to make it happen. So he ended up doing that, but within going door to door and with his personality, he built a huge customer base of just friends and people that used his service every 2 years, every 3 years, because they loved his personality. So then my father, he ended up getting into the industry as well of just asphalt maintenance, as well as he used to do parking lot cleaning. So I grew up around entrepreneurship just from seeing my great uncle, seeing my father, and then also my mother's a hairstylist. So even seeing her in her industry. So I always say I've had the entrepreneur spirit since I've been a kid because of that. But when it came time for me to graduate high school, my father, he actually came to me and said, hey, Chelsea, I got an opportunity for you. So at that time, he presented that opportunity. He said, you can go the traditional route. You can go to college and learn about business that way and figure out what industry you may want to get into. He said, or you can come in, step into the business with me. You're a great uncle. You can learn from us about business and then kind of go from there and, possibly become owner of the company. So with that, choice, I quickly chose to, be mentored by them because I had seen the success that they had, and I knew that I could learn something from them. So that was my beginning of it. And I can say now, I always say still, it's one of the best choices that I've made to learn from that hands-on experience from them.
And I know, like in your book, you talk about always being open to learning and, and continually seeking knowledge. And some people may think that that's counter to what you're saying of choosing income over debt, as far as college versus job. But how do you blend it? Like, I know a lot of smart people that went to college. I know a lot of dumb people that went to college. I know a lot of smart people that have never seen a college. And it doesn't really have a lot to do with the placement. It's the person. How do you, obviously you're doing very well. It didn't hold you back in any way. How do you break that model when you're talking to other people?
Mainly was I had to have a plan and a system. So that's one thing me and my father strongly sat down and talked about. Like you mentioned, even though I didn't go that route of college, education still was important. I still had to learn. I still had to have some type of structure of growing. So one thing that I did was I attended a lot of conferences, and I still do to today. And then even listen to a lot of podcasts like the ones like you have, just to learn and surround myself around like-minded people. So I made it to where every 3 months I was going to different conferences outside of our region to learn about maintenance, to learn about marketing, branding, sales, and things like that. And then, like I mentioned, every day when I was going out and doing things like estimates or working, I was listening to podcasts, and still do to this day, to where I listen to just different audios to retrain my mind every single day about the things that I need to learn. So I always called it learn, implement, and then teach was the system that I used. So knowing that every day I needed to learn something new, then I had to implement it into my personal life to make sure it worked. And then after that, if it worked good enough, then I knew it was time for me to go teach it to someone else. And that really had helped me on my journey of learning and growing.
That's it, man. And I think that's a great point. I think as we meet people, and we talk to them about their construction trades and trade work and stuff like that, the satisfaction of having those jobs, of being able to look back at the end of the day and go, I did that. That's what we did today. That was our accomplishment. And we can bill for it, which is even better. But it's, there's a lot there, and there's so much to learn, and there's such a reward and a good life around that, I think. And sometimes our society has forgotten about that and doesn't want to recognize it. But that it's good work, and it's a great life.
That's the truth. Yeah, and like you mentioned, the fact of being able to also get paid for your accomplishments after you learn something new, and then to be able to see, okay, there's money that comes with this. It definitely motivates you to want to reach those goals.
Right. Yeah. Because it's not it's not money that's evil. It's the love of money. But you do need money.
Right, for sure. Yeah. That's true.
So how do you go from that to being an Amazon best-selling author? I mean, what made you did you just sit down one day like, I've got things on my list, I should write a book?
So no, definitely didn't happen like that. I've always loved writing, so it has always been a passion of mine. But I ended up coming across a guy named Mike Connage, who teached a course on how to write a book and how to be able to hit Amazon bestseller in order to brand yourself as an expert. So when I took my route of not going to college, my father, me and him talking during our meetings, we knew that, all right, you don't have that degree that you can go and show and say, hey, you know what you're talking about. So what is it that can be that business card that can set you apart, that shows that, this is your philosophy, this is what you do know. And the book was that for me. So I actually wrote the book when I was 19 years old, turning 20. And I just wrote it about the philosophies that I had learned already from the people that I really admired in entrepreneurship. And I just really made the book as a guide for myself and other young entrepreneurs to be able to know that, through the journey, that if you have failures, if things happen, you just use that as lessons. So I wrote the book for that reason, as just a guide to keep myself motivated on my journey, as well as to help other entrepreneurs too on theirs.
That's awesome. I love the way it sounds. I mean, your dad was kind of all in on you. I mean, that sounds awesome. I mean, that's not always the way that family-owned businesses go. I mean, is he still involved in the business and still like the mentor and stuff? Because he sounds amazing. That's fantastic.
Definitely. So we're actually now in the process of his succession planning, and the planning of his retirement, but he's still heavily involved. So I've stepped up now in the leadership aspect of creating the systems for growing our leadership within the company. And my father now has more transitioned into sales and helping build the relationships outside of the business. And then also now consulting other businesses and helping them learn a little bit more about how to grow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what are your goals for this year?
Our goals really is growth really inside of our business and with our leadership. We've had about 4 people, a part of our company, who stepped up and, who's really wanted to take on more responsibility. And now we know in this day and age where you don't really have a lot of that, we had to say, okay, let's make it happen. Let's create the system and let's allow them to become the leaders that they truly are. So that's been really something that we're excited for within our growth in the company, is just growing other leaders within our community. And then outside of that, we've been growing more into the commercial space. So doing a lot more commercial property management and maintenance for asphalt surfaces has been really fun, and educating just our industry about it, of how important it is to keep your asphalt surface maintenance. So we've seen a huge growth in that, and that's been a fun process.
Well, so if you were like, if someone was asking, okay, well, what do you, what's like, is there any like one thing or this kind of hitch where you're like, hey man, we do this one thing different. I think it's, it's integral to who we are. It's kind of part of our core or something like that. What, it could be big or small. I mean, is there any one thing where you're like, hey, you know what, if I was an entrepreneur, this is what I would want to know? I mean, obviously your book. I mean, that, we definitely got to get that one in there. 19. You made a lot of us feel very bad that you wrote a book at 19, by the way.
Look, being a millennial.
I didn't read a book before I was 19. Are you kidding me?
That's one thing I've learned about technology and being a millennial. It's allowed us to do a lot of things differently and have a lot more access to information. So I can say that's definitely been a blessing on my journey, for sure. But one thing I think we always say that we do differently for our company, we call it the Jim Reynolds way. Because my great uncle Jim, he was just like such a funny, natural person. He just was a person who loved people. So that is something that we continue to keep within our business, even when we create systems. So like right now, as we build leaderships or build technology within the company, we're still trying to make sure that we stay personable, that we keep the fun and the jokes and the laughs and, our face out there to where they know that we're still that family business. Because a lot of times we see as family businesses grow, sometimes that message can be lost, or that, thing about you that people love can be lost within the message. And that's one thing we try not to do, is still keep that personal touch, and still be there to where they know that, we're here for anything you need if you have questions, and we want to treat every job like we would treat our own. So that's what we call our Jim Reynolds way when we do our work.
I think that's awesome. I mean, it's, and I like the focus on having fun at work. I mean, just because it's work doesn't mean it's not fun. It's not the exact same thing as a day off, for sure. But
definitely,
it has, it's like we have one where like, work doesn't have to suck. It's still work, but it doesn't mean that it's got to be a drudgery or anything like that. So yeah, I think that's a great way to go about it. And I love the idea. I know when you're looking at your About You page and it talks about the team and Jim Reynolds and his way, and it just talks about him being this fun-loving guy, smart and humble. And I think that's a great way to run a business. If that's your, with that as your core guiding post, I gotta think it's pretty easy to enjoy getting to work every day. Well, maybe not every day. Most days.
Most days, yeah, definitely.
Some days are bad. I mean, I know you're in Kentucky, but it's still going to be hot in the middle of the summer. I don't know, man. That parking lot's going to be smoking.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Some days it's good to be the owner. It's like, it looks hot out there, guys. You take some extra water with you, and I got that. We'll cover you.
Yep, that's the truth. And then even being able to laugh about it, on those hot days of saying, hey, I know you're going to be angry just because you stepped outside and it's hot, but, we can't be angry at each other because of it.
It sounds like one of my kids. I'm angry because I stepped outside. Okay.
Exactly.
As long as you're doing it with a shovel in your hand, we're good.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is fantastic. I love the way you're doing it. I love the path that you talk about, and the energy and just the exuberance that you guys give out. So, and you're doing public speaking. Are you doing much talking? Are you promoting that?
Definitely. So we actually just finished up at the National Pavement Expo. So we attend that a lot in our industry. So we go there and do a lot of speaking. Mainly on things about, like I mentioned, leadership, or how to incorporate technology in your leadership. One challenge we faced when we were going through our growth and our changes was how to get the older people on our team to be able to incorporate technology within their work, and not, feel like, no, I don't want to do it, or I don't want to, be a part of the new system. of the things that we were doing. So with that, we ended up learning a way of how to incorporate them and, make them feel like it's something that will be of benefit to them too in the way that they work. And mainly just by telling them, this helps stop micromanaging. This helps stop the extra communication needed when you have it on technology. We can communicate this way, and we all can focus on the jobs we need to have, done, or the projects we need to get done. So we share a lot of that through speaking about how to incorporate technology, and then also how to change the mindsets of your leaders to be able to want to welcome change versus seeing change as a negative thing.
Okay, yeah, no, I think technology is like that double-edged sword. I think, you want every new system that's coming out. You're always just one app away from success, but sometimes the slower adopting stuff. Better to have a few things you do well than to have every buzz and an alert going off and it's not reacting to any of it. Just becomes annoying.
True. Yeah, that is the truth. It has to work. You have to you want to make your life easier, not make it harder. So if you're incorporating things and it's making everybody's job harder, then it's not worth it.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time with us, and I love learning more about what you're doing, and hopefully we can check in with you again and see where it is. When your second book comes out or something. I don't know. Is there another book coming? I mean, what are you slacking? What's going on over there?
Definitely. Look, I've been learning all things asphalt here over the last few years, but I definitely plan on creating another book. Just to share my last few years of the journey of the asphalt industry and leadership side of things. So I would expect within the next 5 years, I should have something coming out book-wise.
I'll be looking for it. It'll probably be like, your company's not doing well, it's your own asphalt, So.
For sure, yeah.
Let's see where it goes.
That's a good one.
That's right. Yeah, Chelsea can fix it for you, but she won't take the blame, but she'll tell you, hey, look, you can, I know where it's at and you can fix it.
Yeah.
Well, Chelsea, I really appreciate it, and I love spending time with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on as well.
Thanks for listening to Get the Intel. We'll see you next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.